The Umbrella Academy, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and the rise of industry. This is Staying In.
I'm eating these cheddar cheese
Okay.
filled
Nerds.
pretzel sandwiches. Yeah.
Oh my god, they sound disgusting.
They aren't.
Bit of AMSR there for you.
Oh, look at that. 2 pretzels.
It looks like a really bad Oreo.
Yeah, it's just like a savoury Oreo.
Do you split them and lick them?
Oh, I could, couldn't I?
Go on, give that a try.
Go on, hold on.
There's some live tasting
Hold on.
for you.
Oh, no, you can't split them.
All right, go and get a knife.
It's like an atom.
That's worrying.
Well, that sounds like a tasty snack. I made myself white chocolate and hazelnut matcha brownies this afternoon.
What? How?
What do you mean? What do you mean? How?
How are you so talented at cooking? How does one get to this?
Well, first off, you're assuming that they taste good or in some way an edible. It doesn't take talent to say that you've made something or
I suppose, yeah.
put together a collection. Oh, this evening I cooked a broccoli and carrot
Yep.
soup with roasted
That sounds good already.
bananas.
So clearly, desserts is more Sam's forte. Paul.
But that's what I mean. Like, you can say that you cooked anything, but to say that there's any talent behind it is only evidenced in the actual eating.
Yeah, I suppose the first little piggy could say, well, I made my house out of straw.
Yeah.
So do they turn out all right?
I don't know. I've not tried them yet.
Oh, for
I had
goodness
some gold. Where
So this episode's a 2-parter.
This is such a tease.
No, it's because I had some. Lisa's mum brought back some white Oreos, golden Oreos.
What?
From Spain from Lisa's hen do.
Right.
Brought back some golden Oreos, so I've been finishing those off before I eat my brownies.
Oh, very nice. What's golden?
What flavour's gold, Sam?
Oh, well, instead of the darker chocolate on the outside, it's golden chocolate. Basically, custard creams.
All right.
Just
It's not like Golden Graham's.
no.
I suppose if you think about
Cinnamon.
it, the custard cream really is the British Oreo.
Well, there's bourbon.
There's
Whatever it's called.
the bourbon bourbon as well.
Yeah.
And you sort of think, I got very excited when Oreos came over. I was like, we've never had anything like this. Oh, wow. 2 little biscuits with some cream stuff in the middle. We've never had it.
You made it sound as if like you were waiting at the port while the ship was docking.
I was. It was like when we got Krispy Kreme in. It's when my hometown got a Burger King. It was very exciting.
Front page news.
I think that's all to do with PR, really, because custard cream doesn't really sell itself.
No.
Whereas an Oreo...
Oh, what's that? What could an
Yeah.
Oreo be?
Exactly. Bourbon, is it a whiskey? Is it a drink?
Is it a French royal family?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it... No, it's a sandwich type biscuit. All right, okay. But that's kind of the way the British do things. We just name things...
It's the Ronsel approach.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not really, because a bourbon isn't really what it is on the tin.
No.
Nor is a custard cream.
Yeah.
Nor does it come in a tin, generally.
well observed. I don't think we're very good at naming things in general.
Except for Boaty McBoatface.
Well, but we did that, but then we didn't do that, right? Like, we were like, here's a great idea. Hey, listen up, lads. We've got this great idea for a boat, Boaty McBoatface, and then I'm assuming the government said, no, you're not calling it that. And to be fair, to the man, like, it's probably a good idea. Like, it's probably a good idea not to call it that.
Some might say that after that, the British people shouldn't have been trusted with a public vote.
Satire. Sam Satire Turner.
That is poor.
But also, a lot of the ships in Star Trek are named after like old, traditional on the water ships. So there would be like the Starship Boaty McBoatface.
After all that, I kind of feel like we're on Have I Got News for You?
Oh, really? Should we do some more? satire.
Can you give us a blank headline, Sam? Remove some words out.
Okay, I'll go and get some.
Go on. All right.
Right, I'm going to take some of these from one of my favourite Twitter accounts, @crapLocalNews.
Okay, yep, here we go.
Okay,
here we go.
So, man stole woman's pants for blank.
Love?
Shelter?
No, it was man stole woman's pants for 17 years.
How? That's very slow.
No, I don't think it took him 17 years.
It wasn't like one of those films where, he spent 17 years of planning a heist.
Oh, okay, so it's not like a caper. It's just a pervert.
Okay, here's another one. Greg's forced to apologise for replacing baby Jesus with blank.
What could you replace baby Jesus with?
There's a clue in the headline.
With blank. With sausage.
Kris?
Baby Bell.
Baby Bell. Oh, that's really nice. The three kings come to visit Baby Bell.
No, it was a sausage roll.
Oh, I nearly said sausage roll.
Ah, well, at least they put the roll bit around it. That's not so gauche. Go on then, last one. Make it a good one.
Okay. This is from the Hackney Gazette. Woman eats blank.
Is that... it's not baby Jesus.
No, but that would be
Hence
good.
the quick substitution at Greg's. Woman eats blank. Scouring pad.
What?
No.
It's going to be something. It's going to be something that's inedible. It's got to be.
Well, clearly not.
It was woman eats mouldy beans.
Oh.
Ah!
It's...
I'll just... Sorry.
I don't... What's happening?
This is the... It's my new earworm that every... Right. At the moment, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Right.
I'm about 12, 13 hours in.
Okay.
But every time you press pause... every single time.
It's like that though. It's like that though in Greece, Sam. When you go, the moment anyone stops speaking.
Ubisoft really are good at the authenticity thing, aren't they?
It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I played every Assassin's Creed, almost every single one. All the console ones done, spin-offs done, most of the portables done. I even played the NAF free-to-play card battler that they had at one point and got pretty far with that. And I at the end of Origin, I was like, I've had enough. I just could not be bothered anymore. It was too long. It was boring, dreary. I love the characters. I like some of the storytelling that they were doing, but it was 35 hours of drudgery. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey is apparently meant to be the good one.
I'm completely the opposite. So the last Assassin's Creed game I played was Revelations.
Yes,
that's the last one I played.
End of Ezio's trilogy.
So 2011. So almost 10 years since I played an Assassin's Creed game, and the other day I just got hankering for those kind of mechanics. So I'd finished Spider-Man and absolutely loved that one. And thanks very much to Sony for my exclusive Platinum Avatar, which I got for getting the Platinum in Spider-Man. But I just had a hankering for those, that sort of Assassin's Creed style of play, just like sneaking around, doing the stealth and a little bit of RPG and a little bit of exploration and, being a character in this living, breathing world. Because Spider-Man does that, but I kind of just wanted it to be a bit grander and wanted it to be a bit more grounded.
Yeah, sure.
So I decided to play Freedom Cry, but that is a game based on Assassin's Creed 3's engine, which for some reason is getting remade and is coming out on the Switch.
What, Assassin's Creed 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we just for 2 seconds? I think that's the worst decision they've ever made. Like,
yeah,
it's such a bad game. It's hateful, that third game. Like,
yeah,
and they're putting the time into remaking it. Like,
I know, it's really weird. So I don't know what the decision is behind that, but Freedom Cry feels outdated. It feels old. It doesn't play very well and has some dodgy politics that I really wasn't into. And it was trying to deal with the slave trade, and I don't think it was handling it really well. Like, you could only progress the story in parts of Freedom Cry if you'd freed a certain amount of slaves.
Yeah,
and
which is a noble endeavour.
Yeah, but when you're kind of treating people who are under slavery as just numbers,
a number,
just like, right, I've freed 50 of you. Also, I'm not going to free any more because I've now moved on to the next part of the story.
Also, have you noticed how in this, and this is the same in all the Assassin's Creed games, but have you noticed how, like, you free the captor, whoever the captor might be, and they're like, thank you so much for saving me, and then they rush off and get murdered by, like, a Roman guard, or they're like, now my life is fine. It's like,
I literally watched Sam do that when I was around his house watching him play it.
But that was my fault for not clearing out the bandit camp efficiently before releasing a prisoner. So I did my research and decided to pick up Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I'm so glad I did, because it's my favourite Assassin's Creed games, and quickly becoming one of my favourite open world games. And because it streamlines most of the major problems that I've ever had with an Assassin's Creed game, but along with that, as a companion, it gives more depth and insight into stuff that I think makes Assassin's Creed interesting as a game. So, first of all, I've always found Assassin's Creed games quite claustrophobic. The ones I've played anyway, which I know sounds slightly counterintuitive.
Considering you climb to the top of towers and look out on massive cityscapes.
Yeah, but it's a fact that they're all set in cities. I've always found the most claustrophobic. Okay. Because, so Assassin's Creed 2 is probably the one that I spent the most time playing.
Yeah.
And in there, you'd be exploring the city. You get yourself into a situation that you had to try and get out of quickly, but it was difficult because all the buildings to me always felt like they were on top of me. So I always felt that the world is claustrophobic. In Odyssey, completely gone. You're in the whole of Greece. You've got the whole of Greece to explore.
Yeah. Tell me more.
You spend the first it takes you about 6 hours until you see the main title card, which is something they've lifted directly from The Witcher 3, because basically it's about 6 hours until you leave the first island, which is Kefalonia. That's where you start.
So that's where my parents go on holiday.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to Kefalonia, so it's been great to explore it. And what that does is that gives you 5 to 6 hours of getting a taste of everything that the game has in store for you. So the typical, like, raiding bandit camps, doing side quests, going exploring, doing all those things that a Ubisoft open world game has in it. But the interesting thing with spending that time on Kefalonia is you very quickly pick up that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is doing things just in a slightly different way. They've tweaked one little part of of how the quest and the mission structure works to make it a lot more of an involved and interesting experience. And that is that they've developed 2 different modes. There's like an explorer's mode and an assist mode. And what that changes is, on the assist mode, or whatever it's called, when someone gives you a main quest, they will tell you about it, and then they put the marker on your map.
Right.
On exploration mode, they'll tell you about it. They describe whereabouts on the island or in Greece that mission is, but you never get the marker on your map.
Okay.
Which, for me, that's the one thing that I look for now in every open world game that I play. It's what I wanted out of Horizon. Because when I played Horizon Zero Dawn, I pretty much tried to turn off as much of the compass as I could as possible, because I want to feel like someone in this world rather than someone going from one mission marker to another.
Right.
So when you're spending that first 5 or 6 hours on the island of Kefalonia getting to know the game, you get to know Kefalonia really, really well, because your missions are, oh yeah, you have to go and raid that bandit camp. It's on the south of the island next to the statue of Zeus and the old temple. Oh, yeah. I think it's somewhere around there. So you have to naturally go and explore. And for me, that's one of the things generally about open world games and generally about Assassin's Creed games that I've never felt really connected to, is just I'm just going from one position to another, just checking off tags that have been put on the map for me. So immediately I feel a lot more connected and involved with the world, which is a massive change to Assassin's Creed games that I've played before.
Okay.
So the next thing it does is it completely changes the I guess you maybe call it like the wanted system. So you know how in previous Assassin's Creed games, when you commit like a misdemeanor in the city or something like this, which is another thing that made me feel really claustrophobic in those cities, like the whole of the city would just turn on you and you'd have to run and get away and get out of the city and wait for everything to calm down. And then in the case of Assassin's Creed 2, you have to go back in, rip down all the posters of yourself and like bring all like the reputation back up and all that kind of stuff just to get things done in the location.
Yeah.
Really frustrating, hampered the gameplay and the movement and the feel of the game for me. So instead, they have this bounty system. So if you go into a city and start like stealing stuff or killing people in the city, doing stuff that you're not meant to be doing, instead of hundreds and hundreds of guys piling on top of you, you get a bounty on your head. And basically but depending on how big your bounty, as in like how much bad stuff you've done, the harder the bounty hunter that comes after you is. Now, you can either pay off this bounty hunter, or you can fight them and kill them, or you can just avoid them. So I love that idea of like constantly being stalked and like someone constantly coming down for you, rather than just tons of people just running onto you, having to run out of the city, run back in, get the reputation up, and then carry on with the game. It feels like they really...
It's much more thematic, isn't it? Much more that the assassins, or this group of people are wanted. Like they're not the good guys in this society. Yeah. Oh.
And like the combat is a lot more streamlined and makes sense, and it's just a wonderful world to be a part of, and I absolutely love it. And because there's not this at the moment there's not this massive grandeur of story hanging over Cassandra as a character, and I'm just let off the reins just to go and be a mercenary and go and forge my path, and in the middle of the war between the Spartans and the Athenians, I'm just able to like be quite relaxed in this open world, and that's a feeling that I've not had, especially from a Ubisoft, because me and Kris are playing Far Cry 5 at the moment, and
that's got a big statue in it.
It does, but it's one of the most least relaxing places to be in. Not only because you're hunted 24/7 constantly, but also because you turn a corner. There's also, and like me and Kris are just trying to do missions, but it's like, right, just past this. Well, we might as well just do this, or we're going off the way to do this, and we set a marker to there, but we'll see if there's something interesting along the way. Like
so compressed.
everything feels a lot more compressed, whereas in Odyssey it just feels like this wonderful world. And I think it is all down to those things that I mentioned, like how bounties work. I don't feel pursued all the time. How the exploration works, like you get to actually know a place based on its geography rather than a line which tells you where to go. And the character work, like being a mercenary, just helps to create this wonderful little place to be in. I absolutely love it, and it's except for the
I've added it back onto my wish list.
You're always going to play it.
I know.
Always.
I know.
And Sam, I'll lend you Mythos once we finish rereading it.
Yes, please.
I think you'll
please,
love
I'd
that.
love to. Oh my god. Oh.
It's that time
You
of
know
the,
what that means?
Oh, it's that time of the episode where can you imagine if we were a podcast that were actually like that? Like, there are some that are like, hey guys, now we're moving on to this section of the show. And it's just like, all right, calm down. You're doing this in your pants. Charity miles.
Charity miles. Miles of smiles. Oh.
It's the Charity Miles update. And the update is, it's good. We're doing well. Everything's going according to plan. The distance that we're trying to get to at the moment, I think, the next big goal is 500 miles. So we've got 24 people who have joined us.
Wow.
24.
That's incredible.
We've got 14 of those people have logged miles, which is pretty exciting. So we've got 10 people who are like, oh, I've joined. I've not logged any miles yet. I'm just thinking about it.
Taking it easy.
Taking it easy. And you know what? Take it easy. We've got 436 miles. So next big thing is going to be 500 miles. And I'm going to be like, yes. We've got 436 miles walked, which I think, or run, or cycled, or whatever it is you want to do with it, really. Which I think is amazing. Yeah, I'm stoked, basically.
It's going great, isn't it? I love it.
Here's the thing, right? Here's my thing. What I find most exciting about it, and this is genuinely true, is I go on it every day and I look at the list of people who have because we only see people's names if they've put any miles in, right?
Yeah.
And I see Dan, I see me, I see you, Kris, I see you, Sam. And I'm like, good. It's familiar faces. Right? But then,
at least we're all doing something.
But we're all doing something, thank goodness. But then I see other names on there. Some of them I recognise, but some of them I don't. Like people who we've never met before, and I love it because I tweeted this the other day. I genuinely can't believe that we've got 14 people listening, let alone like
it's double figures. I was just so impressed.
I know. Let alone like bothered enough to put some miles in. So we've got pals like Mike Dorr, we've got Nicholas.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Nicholas. Brittany Harbage, been absolutely putting the miles in. We've got someone called Quarth, Nick Hughes, Alex Briscombe, whoever that is, Catherine Hopkins, Graham Burrows, Neil Bailey, Lisa Mart.
It's brilliant.
I'm just, honestly, like, some of those names I recognise, some of the names I don't recognise, and I'm just like, I can't believe that these people are awesome enough to, like, actually put the time in and do this thing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Are you saying, Pete, that us four can just sit back now?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So do we know how much we've raised so far?
Yes. So we got roughly, as of recording, we got raised about $105 so far. Right,
that's really good.
Isn't that
Cha-ching.
good? For basically just going outside, I just do my commute. I leave the front door and I'm like, charity miles.
Mine's just dog walks.
Yeah, dog walks.
Pretty much.
And all I'm doing is walking. All I'm doing is walking to work and walking back again. And I'm just raising some money for some for some good causes.
So yeah, so if you want to join,
and you do,
don't feel like you have to like be like Kris running the equivalent.
Yeah.
Of the Shire to Mordor.
No, it's not about that. It's a
no. I mean, it's just once a week. You don't have to do it like every day commute.
It's
like
not
once a week.
It's like if you're the tortoise more than someone is the hare, That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm the tortoise. I'm only doing 0.9 miles there, 0.9 miles back, but you know what? It's tallying up. So yeah, it's good, and it's just one of those things where you do like a couple of buttons and you go bip bip bip. It's great. So yeah, do you know what? I think this is one of the best things we've ever done.
Yeah, it feels like we're doing good things.
It feels like we are. Yeah.
I never thought of our podcast ever being philanthropic, but
I never thought about our podcast being good.
What's the thing you've regretted most eating when you've been drunk? Because you know, often when you're drunk, you let your guard down in terms of your diet.
I know.
Like I knew of somebody who was vegetarian for about 6 years, and he ruined it all by just having a kebab.
Well, mine is on my 21st birthday. No, 20th birthday. I was going out and finishing the night, and I always tend to finish the night with chips, kebab meat, and garlic mayo.
Yeah, good work.
Standard.
Yeah,
Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
But one night, I went into the kebab shop. I slapped down a $5, and I went, "Give me all the kebab meat and chips you can."
He instantly flips the sign.
I was taken through to a little private VIP area.
Yeah, this way, sir. Clearly, you are a man of class.
And there's like a painting, a tapestry on the wall that looks exactly like Sam.
Yeah, like the Last Supper with with me in the middle, with holding out kebab meat to the people of Aberystwyth.
£5 worth of kebab meat.
Oh my gosh! So how much is the question? I mean, not including inflation in this, but how much kebab meat did you get? I imagine more than you could eat.
I ate it all. So I think a kebab meat and chips was probably about something like £3.50. So I wasn't getting much more, but
No.
I think just my attitude, the confidence of strolling in there, meant I got about a double portion.
Yeah, I imagine it's the same sort of thing when like high-powered business execs go into like very big boardroom meetings, like that level of power that you have.
I want 10%.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Well, he's serious. Oh.
Yeah.
Do we need to warn the listener beforehand that this is going to be? You said that this was the geekiest thing you've ever talked about. So.
Yeah, this is the geekiest game I think I'm pretty sure it's one of the geekiest games I've ever played. Probably the geekiest.
Yeah.
It felt like a second job.
Wow. That much.
It was pretty good. So, like, you know, you guys were talking last time about things that are, like, how we didn't quite understand, like, Football Manager, right? Like, because it feels like where's the game there, and like spreadsheets, and like it just feels like a bit of a job rather than like something else. Well, and I was like, yeah, nodding along, like, yeah, put the boot into Football Manager.
Well, it's kind of that thing that's put me off owning, like getting Stardew Valley on the Switch.
Right. Okay.
Because I've heard like a massive criticism of it that at the end of the day, it's just another job. It's just another thing to tend to.
Yeah, I think
like every day.
I think that's fair. This really is role playing a job. So I've been playing a game called Rise of Industry.
Okay. So are you like just an industry bigwig, and you're wandering around a town going, "Here's my 20%.
Buy, sell.
Give me all the kebab meat."
So you run this company and you set yourself up and you think, okay, well, what businesses am I going to go into, right? So you might think to yourself, okay, what I want to do is I want to get into, I want to be in the food industry, right? So you set up the pipeline that is, you need raw materials, right? So if you're in food, you probably need water, right? So then you set up a pumping station, and then you set up the roads that you need to transport it to a warehouse, and then you set up the farm where you're going to grow all the crops, right?
How is this any different from City Skylines or Project High Rise?
Oh, we'll go into that.
It sounds very granular.
So
yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the simulation for my simulation game.
Yeah, granular is the exact right phrase, actually, because basically you've set those things up. You've now got your farm, and you now need to go into you need to actually set up the the distribution channel between the pump, the warehouse, the farm, and then the farm begins producing something, right? So you'll choose to start growing, or what did I start growing? Okay, so like grapes. So you start growing grapes on the orchard that you have. So you have to research. You've got a massive tech tree, and you start saying, okay, I want to research grapes. Okay, so you start doing that. And then those become available, and you start growing these grapes. And at that point, you can then distribute, using your trucks, you can distribute them to the local town, the local city, to state, to wherever it is that you want to distribute them to, and you will get a certain price. And you have to check every single one of the towns and the cities and get the best possible price. And these prices obviously fluctuate because there's a marketplace, and the marketplace is constantly in fluctuation. Sometimes people want grapes more, some people want grapes less. So you start selling these grapes, and that's okay for a little bit, but then towns become more developed.
They get sick of grapes.
They get sick of grapes after a while, but what they might want after that is wine. So now you have to create a factory, and obviously the road to get to that, and you also add on the pipeline to take the grapes back to a warehouse or directly to the factory. And if you have too many grapes at the factory, the trucks are just like, well, we don't know what to do with these, so we're just going to let them stock up somewhere, stock up. And you're just losing money because, of course, you're not doing anything with those grapes. So then you'll produce... So anyway, you sort all that out and you're producing wine. Now you're producing wine, you have to figure out, okay, how can I distribute this? And the actual materials side of things, that's the very basic flow of everything. Now, I just described grapes to wine. There are currently, and this game's in early access, there are currently four tiers of product, from like a base raw material, like a base level one thing from like grapes, all the way up to, I don't know, level 4 something else. I have no idea what that would be, but I think wine is like level 2, right? So everything I just described, everything you have to set up, that's level 1 to level 2.
So Pete, sorry, how does this look like on a screen? Because I'm trying to picture it.
This looks like...
a massive spreadsheet.
I'm just saying, is it like looking at something you'd see in like the stock exchange? Just
no, it looks like it is. It's really, really beautiful, low poly art style, sort of isometric-ish looking. I guess the official term is, I think it's axonometric. I think that's technically the yeah. It's at an angle. It looks like SimCity 2000, but low poly. Like
it's a skew.
Yeah, it's a skew on the screen. I think that's the official term, a skew. So you're looking at that, and there are absolutely spreadsheets if you want to go and look at them. So I can click on the budget button, and I can go and look at my budget across all time, last year, last 6 months, last month. Like I can see all of that sort of stuff, and I can see money coming in, money going out. So all of this is going on. And you're building into this tech tree, and it's constantly going on. You're constantly figuring out, have I got enough money coming in? You're constantly balancing those things. You're figuring out the infrastructure, the network. And if you remove one cog, right? So I did this twice, and it was really bad. If you say, okay, I've got this warehouse, and just temporarily, I just want to very quickly, I've got too much water building up at the pump. It's just not going anywhere. So I'm just going to ship it to my warehouse, and then I'm going to ship it off to state. I'm just going to very quickly do that. You drop one thing out, and if you forget about it, suddenly somewhere else another rise is going up, and suddenly now I've got too many I've got too many apples. Now the apples are going up, and I'm like, oh Christ!
I thought you were doing grapes.
So I did grapes. Yeah.
Is this Peter Grigio? Can you call your wine Peter Grigio?
Yeah, but I expanded from grapes into apples because I was like, because I had access to a new town, because I bought a permit that meant that I could ship my stuff to that town, and I got another permit that meant I could build in another town, and then I bought another town's factory that was trying to supply itself with its own texture material. So I just gave them loads of money, just bought their factory so I could be the main provider. It's about creating essentially a monopoly and trying to be at the top of it.
So how does this not feel like a job and not feel... Because it sounds to me like it's simulating as much as possible what it's like to run a business. So to me, I don't know where the enjoyment is.
Yeah.
In terms of when I come home and I want to play a game, having been at work all day, the last thing I want to do is simulate the experience of working and earning money and, you know, trying to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm playing Spider-Man at the moment, and like spoilers, like he gets kicked out of his apartment. I don't want to have to kind of like worry about, you know, sitting queuing in the bank to apply for a loan or anything like that.
Right, absolutely. But you know, so okay, I agree, but there's a funny thing. There's this funny thing, and I can't quite figure out how it happens. But there are some games that just cater. It's basically like having a certain job, and it caters to a specific people that want to experience what that might be like, right? So Farming Simulator 2019 sold something like 1 million copies in a day, right? And like this Rise of Industry is doing really, really well as well. And clearly it's eating into this thing of there's clearly a subset of people who are saying, I'd really like to figure out logistics. I wish I worked in that kind of a job. That'd be really fun. It's a really fun puzzle. And it clearly attracts themselves to those people. I've got to say, like, I've really, really, I have really enjoyed playing it, loving it, love playing it, but I deleted it because I got because I got into it, and then I was like, I'm enjoying this, but this does feel like basically my day job as a producer, because I was like figuring out where everything was going, and stuff's late and I need to sort this out over here, and I need to really figure out, have you got the right resources, have you got the right tools, where's the budget coming from, all of this sort of stuff. I absolutely, you know, I was looking at it going, this is fantastic, and I absolutely got to delete this right now because I just feel like I'm still at work. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and if figuring out efficient pipelines.
Yeah, how do you sell this?
Right, yeah, that's the thing. How do you sell it? And like clearly, you know, they have, so because it's clearly done well for them. But like, yeah, I mean, like if you're like, oh man, that sounds like my jam, it is. Can we not spoil this one massively? Is that all right?
I can't spoil it for you anyway. I haven't even watched the whole series. I'm about halfway through.
Or even a couple of episodes, because Alex and I have got this on the Netflix wish list, as in watch list.
Have you not read the comics?
No, it's by some band member, isn't it?
Gerard Way, who was
yeah,
My Chemical Romance.
That's correct.
Yep.
Or MCR.
And also, it's also by the artist, because comics are never just by the writer.
Who's the artist?
And you name the artist? Gabriel Barr. Is it Barr, Sam? Is it
what band's he in?
The Band of Brothers, because he usually draws with his brother, Fabio Moon.
Who I adore. One of the best graphic novels I've ever read is one that Sam lent me, Day Trippers, which is just one of the very few graphic novels in my life that has just still stayed with me to this day. Just an exquisite piece of work. So, it really, really is.
So these emo punk rocker people. So he's done. So is the graphic novel? Is it a graphic novel or is it a series? The Umbrella Academy.
It was a series that you can get a graphic novel version.
Right. Okay.
Novelisation.
And now,
it's still going.
Oh right.
The newest Umbrella Academy has just started its run with Dark Horse Comics. It's called Hotel Oblivion. It's like a 7-issue, and we're already up to issue 4.
Is this? Have I just? This has completely gone over my head. Is this like a big deal?
No, it's been around for a few years.
Okay. Because I mean, clearly it's a big deal because it's got a TV series.
So there's 2 graphic novels that collect the editions that have been out so far. One's called The Apocalypse Suite, which is back in 2008, I want to say.
8.
And the other one is The Umbrella Academy of Dallas, which was, let me have a look, which is 2009. So it's been about 10 years since the original comics was released. And the TV series borrows bits from both the comics. So there's characters that are only in Dallas, which is the second one, which appear in the TV series. But the TV series mainly focuses on the Apocalypse Suite. That's kind of the crux of the story is that one day in August, 43 children were born by women who had no signs of pregnancy before that. Basically, the children just popped out.
Yep.
And this character, Sir Reginald Hargreaves, and this is one of my main criticisms with the TV series, which I'll get onto later probably, basically adopts 7 of them. And in the comics, he's asked why he does this, and he just says, to save the world, of course. And basically, these 7 children make the Umbrella Academy, and Sir Reginald Hargreaves later on passes away, and that's basically when the TV series and the comic starts, is when this disbanded group of 7 individuals who have since gone their own ways because of stuff that happened in the Umbrella Academy have to come together because the passing of their adoptive father. And stuff happens, which I can't spoil.
No, because this TV series, which is, I guess, putting it into a new audience, is quite new.
If you just by looking at it, you can see how distinctively different it is from the art style of the graphic novel. When I heard that this series was coming out, I instantly thought of the art style of the graphic novel. This very grotesque blacks and whites. It's almost like we were talking about Gloom with Dan in the last episode, actually. So I was expecting something kind of grotesque and Tim Burton-esque.
Right.
This isn't that grotesque. It's odd, it's weird, but it's not a grotesque looking series at all. I'm not to say that the art style is grotesque originally, but it's very different from the high contrasts of the shades that you get in the graphic novel series. In fact, actually, in lots of the publicity, it's a lot more colour. Colours are very saturated in it, more so than the actual TV series itself. So just that itself, it seems a lot different in that regard. And it's a tone that I actually do quite like, actually, of the TV series in terms of its look and its feel. I know some people have criticised it for its pacing, but just to unpack briefly what Sam has just said. So these 7 children that are raised in the Umbrella Academy, they each possess different qualities. Some have powers, say, for example, and as this father figure, this eccentric millionaire, he gives them all numbers, 1 to 7, and he refers them to them by these numbers. Later on, they take on names, but ostensibly he just gives them numbers, and that's how he refers to them as. And as Sam said, they're raised in this house as a kind of crime-fighting team, and you get these kind of flashbacks to what life was like as children. What I love about the series in particular so far that's really gripping me is this sense of a mystery. And I've encountered lots of series like this where the first season is solving mysteries, and then after that it's never as good, because you know all you need to know about these characters, how they got to this position, why so and so is thinks this way about other people, and that's it. So I'm wondering whether actually I'm going to be interested in the second season of this, because at the moment I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm actually binging it, and I haven't binged anything in ages. I like to kind of have my entertainment meted out, but I am actually binging this.
I think the criticism of his pacing will, I think in most cases, will be a reflection on the comic that it's drawn from, because they put a lot of background in and manufacture a lot of mystery, where in the graphic novel it just doesn't exist, and the graphic novel just goes bam, 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 end. So I've struggled with the TV series, and it probably comes from a place where the graphic novel has had such an impact, and I read the graphic novel in a certain way. For example, the father figure, Sir Reginald Hargreaves, in the graphic novel, his reasons for adopting the kids, the reason why he does it is something that's left up to the reader to interpret. However, in the TV series, he's immediately made out to be this benevolent and awful, very sort of scientific man. He goes and he physically buys the children for however much it costs from the mothers who have borne them. That, in the comic books, is a lot more grayer and murkier, like the original intentions of their father and how he brought up these children. Like, that for me is a legitimate, interesting mystery and a character profile that could have really helped build the characters a lot more. Because if you're unsure about the moral and ethical intentions of this father figure who brought them all together, then how the different adoptive children respond to that is a lot more interesting. But because you know in the TV series that he was a bastard and he was always cold, when one character actually looks lovingly on the father and another one doesn't, there's no murkiness there.
Yeah.
You side with the person who doesn't because you know that he was cold and he was calculated.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked about the acting in this. I really, the cast is fantastic. You've got Ellen Page as number 7, who I adore, and Tom Hopper, who the last time I saw Tom Hopper in anything was season 5 Doctor Who. It was Matt Smith's very first episode. Yeah, the cast is very, very interesting. I really like the different chemistries you get with them. And it's that classic TV thing of having to pull them apart so you can get those scenes where you have those 2 people in a scene, say, for example, and it allows you then to try the different combinations of ensuing episodes. And then what will happen is that you'll kind of, I imagine, where it's going is they'll all group together at the end, as it were. Because as Sam says, it's building towards this prevention of this apocalypse. But yeah, I think it's worth checking out. I think that, like, even though there is maybe some issues with pacing, I've just dissolved these episodes. I've just burst through them far quicker than any of the current iterations of the Netflix Marvel series, which I found such a slog. Iron Fist has taken me months to get through. It's such a slog, it really is. Even though it's better than season 1, it's awful. So yeah, I think it is worth a look, and I'm genuinely curious to see how it goes, Pete. I think you'd enjoy it. I think you really would enjoy it. But I really do want to read this graphic novel series. I really, really do. Mm-hmm. And it was just, for me, shamelessly, it was a choice between forking out 14, 15 quid on a graphic novel or watching it streamed on Netflix. Which is really sad, really. But, you know, Gerard Way has had a hand in the development of the series.
Question.
Question.
Yeah, we've got one question here. Mm-hmm. Who left blank by my car?
Cheese.
Interesting.
I was going to say cheese.
Yeah.
Is it cheese?
Is it cheese?
It's Tiny Farm. Who left Tiny Farm by my car?
Well, like an ant farm.
That, Kris, was from... that headline actually was from the Worcester News.
Mm.
Ah, my old stomping ground.
Yeah, I thought you might like that. And this one is Grandad returns from blank by blank.
From Dorset-on-Sea by helicopter.
I'm going to say upstairs by stairs.
That would have been brilliant. No, this is from the Kent and Sussex Courier.
Oh, my old stomping ground.
Pete's old stomping ground.
And it's Grandad returns from Cornwall by bus.
Yeah, that seems about right. It's about the most exciting stuff.
Oh my gosh.
I've got a better question. It's from
on.
Alex Holmes, who
Hello, Alex.
who is one of our listener pals. So they have a question, and I think this is a really interesting one, and I have opinions. Do you think the video game industry, asks Alex, do you think it will ever completely merge with the board game industry? With the advancements in augmented reality and more app-driven games, do you think they will ever become one? I have a solid opinion on this, but I would really be interested to know from you two guys.
Hasn't it already happened?
It is starting to happen with games such as Criminal. Is it Criminal? And Detective. Where Criminal has the augmented reality aspect where you actually there's QR codes and you've got an app and you scan and you can actually interview suspects with this app. And what I quite like about it is that a lot of them have a timer on them, so unless you speak to this person now, they may, I don't know, change their story or not be available to speak to. So there is actually a kind of a real-time element
That's cool.
baked into that app as well. I came across one board game where you've got the board in front of you and you have to create... There's basically this series of corridors and you actually have to put on an augmented reality headset and you only have a certain amount of time to actually explore these corridors, describe what you see, and then try and replicate that on the board on a kind of a time-based thing. I think Detective is where it actually asks you to use Google or the internet to research things, and that folds into the actual gameplay. I'm trying to think of any others. Or there's the escape room games where you use an app to check whether you've got the clues right.
You do, yeah.
And there's also, not the technological side, you've got board game versions of video games, like XCOM, the board game, say, for example.
But there's also examples like in like Burgle Brothers, there's an app that will like help you set up thing. Same with Cryptid.
Oh, it's such a good app.
Fantasy Flight do a lot of this. Like I know that they have, I don't know if this is true for Descent as well, but for Star Wars Imperial Assault, you can get an app which essentially plays the role of like the dungeon master. It can play the role of the enemy.
There is for Descent,
Yeah, so I feel like in terms of that integration of like video games being integrated into board games, I feel like that's for me, that's the sweet spot.
The really interesting point in this question is like, do you think they'll ever become one? And like the answer is like, I don't think they'll ever be the same things entirely. Like I think you're always going to have board game developers and then video game developers. I think you're always going to have board games and video games. But yeah, like as you guys were saying, there's a huge amount of crossover stuff, and it does go both ways, right? I think the most interesting thing is where you see video game developers using digital games to like prototype up their games, or to serve something extra to a different audience in a different space. So, for example, the people at Paradox, who I really like, they're working on they're working on licensing out their IP, like Europa Universalis and Crusader Kings being the most recent one, for a board game. And it's like, I'd love to play a Crusader Kings board game. That sounds great. But and way back in the day, they took Europa Universalis, which was a very complicated, 50, 60 hour long board game, and turned that into a video game. And that's interesting, that crossover. But it doesn't often go the way from board game to video game as such a huge successful money spinner kind of a thing. So I don't know. I got to say, all of these like extras that you get, right? Like these little helpers and stuff like that. I like werewolves. I like One Night Ultimate Werewolf, but very few of them grab me in any other way. Very few of them make me go, oh yeah, I'd love to have a, I'd love to have an iPad telling me what to do next. Oh.
Chronicles of Crime, was the game I meant. Not Criminal. Chronicles of Crime is the game where you use the QR codes to interview people. That's supposed to be very, very good and probably one of the best implementations.
I like all of these crossovers. I think it's doing interesting things, and it's doing stuff. Digital stuff is doing stuff that physical stuff can't do, and I like that.
Yeah.
But the thing I like the most is when it's better for a computer to do it, you get a computer to do it. When it's better for a person to do it, you get a person to do it. And that's like one night you don't need a human being there going, everybody open your eyes. Like you could just have a recording.
But I think the one thing I don't think I could ever see envisage it working would be to have this merging in terms of a travel game scenario. Like it's one of the reasons why I like kind of travel games, board games, taking them away with me is that I know that I haven't got to charge this thing at all. That I can just, my phone's charging elsewhere, or I've got it on battery saver mode because I don't want to use it because I'm worried it's going to run out of power. I can just play cards. I've got something as an entertainment, and what I haven't got then is half of something.
Yeah. There's also part of it is what is the video game version of this board game actually bringing, other than streamlining how the scoring works. So, for example, we've all played Ganz Schön Clever, the app, and maybe Doppelt So Clever as well.
I play it daily,
so
when I'm cleaning my teeth.
So those are really good in terms of video game apps because they do a lot of they sort out all the counting and the rules of where you can put dice and all that kind of stuff is all done for you. So it takes a bit of that mental headspace away from you so you can concentrate on improving what you're actually doing. For me, nothing will ever replace the physical bit of it, but I think that's a good use of an app, taking something from a board game and using that application to help you experience another side of it. To compare that with something like Carcassonne, which recently came on the Switch, and even though I'm interested in getting the Switch, one of the criticisms of it is that it has this wonderful 3D isometric viewpoint, and most of the reviews say it's pointless. You can't see the board.
The irritating thing is that actually, Sam, Carcassonne, the video game, was really good. I had it on my tablet. It was 2-dimensional. And it was lovely. You were top down, and then they got rid of that. They pulled that from the store and they replaced it with this horrible looking 3D isometric thing.
It's really weird. I think as for me, in terms of where they merge and where they meet, I think there's already, as we discussed, where the app or the game facilitates a certain game playing style. So in the terms of Descent and Imperial Assault, they replicate the dungeon master. They take some onus of the players so they can all enjoy an experience together. The second way is where a video game increases the replayability of it. So in terms of Cryptid and Burgle Brothers, that app is providing in both instances excellent replayability values. And the third one is that as we mentioned in the terms of Ganshon Clever, is as an educational tool, taking away some of the effort in preparing or thinking about a game in order for you to learn that game and a bit more of its mechanics in another way. And I can't see how they can merge any more beyond those sort of three ways. Maybe AR, augmented reality, or because as soon as you start stepping into VR, I just can't see that.
No one's buying a VR headset to play Catan, are they? So that was a good question, wasn't it? That was a very good question.
Good. Thank you.
It's a very good question. Can I check? Is that listener running with us? Do they want to join?
That's our question to you, Alex. Do you want to?
Are you running? Are you running? Putting in your miles?
Or walking? Walking is
maybe
okay.
not. Hang on, not running.
Cycling
just walking.
is fine.
Apparently, it doesn't. It generates exactly the same amount of money whether you're just the distance.
Yeah. So just come along and do it. That was a good question.
That was Staying In with Peter Willington, Kris Darby, and Sam Turner. We need your questions for the next episode, so please send them in to stayinginpod@gmail.com. You can notify us on Twitter @stayinginpod, and really, we're Staying In Pod everywhere. Facebook and Board Game Geek, and where else are we? Oh, we've also got a curation page on Steam, so you can find us there. Also, you may have heard us mention Charity Miles quite a few times, and we'd love you to get involved. So just download the app, choose the charity you want to raise money for, then join our team simply by searching #StayingInPod. Then all the miles you walk, run or cycle will help us towards our goal of raising $1,000 for charity by the end of the year. And we really appreciate everyone who's helped us in that so far this year. But for now, that's it from us. Until next time, goodbye.